agreed to meet a vampire at a cemetery. How much more cliché can you get?
Nothing comes readily to mind.
Could have left the door unlatched.
What of my privacy? I value it rather deeply. Unmolested, especially by unwanted guests, that's my preferred state. Besides, I knew you'd find a way to get in.
True enough. Need to find your friend. I'm hoping you'll agree to help.
I shall do whatever's in my power. Yet what you want or even need must matter little. What matters is what Dettlaff wants. If he does not wish to be found, you will not find him. Ever. End of story.
Come on. Gotta be some way.
Vampires can evade detection by the senses, and no divination magic works on us. Even the most precise megascope would be useless.
And this? Could this help?
Wherever did you get that?
Off one of the beast's victims, found by a bend in the river. Body was chopped in pieces. 3 of those pieces were hands. Hand with the ring seemed the odd one out, but Bruxa had taken an interest in it.
It's Dettlaff's hand, without a doubt. It will do splendidly.
The hand. What do you plan to do with it?
You've heard of Kovinaris' theory of tissue memory retention.
Rings a distant bell. Read about it in Alchemia Oblitera. There's a copy of Kaer Morhen, tattered, nearly disintegrated. But if memory serves, Kovinaris never managed to prove it worked.
He did prove it, just never managed to publish his findings. He and I corresponded, you see, after we became friends. Thus, I know he completed his research and performed the first tests. It's complicated, so without delving into detail...
How's it work? We need any special equipment?
We must brew a decoction which Kovinaris gave a rather poetic name. This triggers visions of events linked to strong emotion.
Any chance we might see what Dettlaff was doing just before...
Indeed. Though I also hope resonance...
Ring's pretty intriguing. Made of no metal I've ever seen. And
it comes from our home, where we lived before the conjunction of spheres. It's actually mine. I received it from a dear old friend. You might call him a humanist. He saw us vampires as guests here, guests who owe their hosts, meaning you humans and the elder races, respect.
Respect? Meaning not to treat us like cattle to be slaughtered for food?
Precisely. And the reason why I, in turn, gave it to Dettlaff. To remind him of the idea.
Can't you just summon Dettlaff?
If I'm to be entirely candid, there is indeed one.
Last resort?
There is a being who can summon Dettlaff. Possesses the authority, even the power, to force him to appear. But the very act of contacting this being, an exercise as perilous to me as it would...
Kovinaris spent half his life proving his theory. Wild guess.
You guessed correctly. In addition to Dettlaff's tissue, we shall need a powerful...
Well, got a few ingredients. There's Mamoon glands. The closest ones I know of are in Vizima. The spotted white saliva would also serve, but they were cold to extinction over a century ago. Could go with a kobold's eyes, but the creatures are sentient. Rather not gouge one's eyes out.
Given that we...
What was that?
A raven? Rather a common sight at this latitude. very intelligent fowl. I asked him to look for the creatures you mentioned, him and his brethren. Perhaps they'll find one in the area, and I would hazard that a flock of ravens will spy any set. It will take them some time, nonetheless, so perhaps you'd care for a snifter of mandrake.
Rarely say no to a
Sadly, this is but a weak infusion, rather.
Even better. I remember your mandrake hooch.
Now, what could Geralt of Rivia...
Everyone's got...
I agree wholeheartedly. I also believe...
This your sophisticated way of asking?
I prefer almost always to ask indirectly.
Maybe you should go first. Reveal one of your secrets. After all, you vampires lead very interesting lives.
Anything in particular interest you?
Curious what you did.
As I'm sure you can surmise, but first I was thoroughly absorbed with recovering. As it is, Detlef bore my weakness bravely, showed Once I could at last stand unassisted, I set off for Bruges, for my one-time home of Dillingen. There I led the peace...
Bruges, you say? Rebirth make...
Perhaps a dash. But what of you? Where have you been? Ever find your Cirilla?
Back then, yeah. But we parted against...
Ooh. Seems like so...
True enough. But it's a... Gotta ask you the big question.
You wish me to tell you if the human belief in the gods is well found. Our matter, that of which we are composed, can exist without...
But were you dead?
As humans understand death.
Feel anything? Understand?
It's rather hard to... Only after rebirth did I begin to understand that what I had...
Can't have been alive then. Sheesh.
Indeed, it's hard to compare to anything I know. Yet you are aware we don't see death as you do. Thus, I often find myself wondering why you try so very hard.
Depends on your point of view. Man who's got 1,000,000 crowns to spend can't possibly understand one who's only got 20.
Very true.
Got a new life.
Starting all anew is a very...
Your blood addiction, say. Wondering if your body's the same.
All addictions are a form of slavery. Re-addiction...
Fair enough.
Not to worry, Geralt. Curiosity's a natural...
Always fascinated me the way vampires can regenerate.
A difficult and laborious process, but one that's possible.
For a bit. But Triss helped me get it back.
Yes, you humans are rather buggered in those terms. We vampires are much harder nuts to crack. If a member of another race kills one of us, we can be reborn with a living higher vampire's help. However, if one of our own strikes the deadly blow, death is permanent. There can be no rebirth. One of the chief reasons why vampires long ago...
All right.
One question to ask one is... If you were to die and be reborn as I was...
That's what interests you most?
Many things interest.
Never chose to be a witcher. Fate chose for me. And a profession where I wouldn't have...
Thank you for being honest. Honest.
Still no sign of your winged friend. Sure.
Dead certain. Let's wait. Ever vigilant, even in his sleep. Quite vampire-like, in fact. Are you absolutely certain they don't administer a few of our genes during the trial of the grasses?
Far as I know, none.
You were right. No kobolds or mamoons for miles around.
Knew it.
Allow me to finish. You see, there's this spotted white. It haunts an abandoned...
Impossible. My brethren hunted down every last spotted white before I was born.
Then it seems you must revise your knowledge of spotted whites. For somehow this one managed to survive your brethren's onslaught. It seems I know this home it haunts. Recall a tale about it.
Whites rarely appear in the woods, even less...
What's your point? I sincerely doubt it. Ravens are...
What exactly did they observe?
The area around the estate. It's covered in... spoons.
Spoons?
Spare me the skeptical smile. I'm but the bearer of this news. I don't recall much in particular. Really?
Come on, search your...
I believe... Sorry, Geralt. I try not to clutter my mind. What are your thoughts?
A specimen of a species thought long extinct.
Ah, professional curiosity.
Let's do this. Start making your...
Do you imagine the white will simply sell you some? For a moment there, I imagine...
So,
Yes, till later.
tomes? Thought you were gonna make this...
We require one last ingredient.
All right. Good.
And to you, my friend.